Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivana Dari Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivana Dari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivana Dari Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivana Dari Sodanandana Prajajana Ranjana Jasodanandana Prajajana Ranjana Jamunatira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivana Dari Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivana Dari Sodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jamunatira Vanachari Jamunatira Vanachari Jam Vishnupad Purnima Prabhu Jakacharya Asatosa Shishimad His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada ki, Ananta Gaura Vaishnavanda ki jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai, ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gogopiya Samakun Radhakun Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavanam Ki Jai. Shri Maya Panabdam Ki Jai. Ganga Maya Ki Jai. Jamuna Maya Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai. Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Gaur Premanandi. All glorious Sama devotees. All glorious Sama devotees. All glorious Sama devotees. All glorious, all glorious, all glorious Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Om Jnana Tamarandasya Jnananjana Salakya Chakshur Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukram Kotabachalang Pangun Lang Haite Garim Yat Kripatadaham Bande Shigaram Dinataranam Vanchakalpatriyabhyascha Kripa Sindhubhye Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasati Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So this is a very auspicious day, the appearance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And incarnations, or Krishna himself, come due to difficulties happening in society. Yidaramasya, Glanir Bhavati Bharata. Abhyutanamadamasya, Tadamanam Vijaya. Whenever and wherever there's a predominant rise of religion and a decline in religious practice, at that time, I descend myself. So Lord Chaitanya's appearance is kind of interesting, because the reason he appeared was because of the loud calling of Advaita Acharya, who was also God. So God is calling out to God to come. We need some help down here. Kali Yuga, right? Need extra help in Kali Yuga. So he was offering tulsi and water to Saligram. And if you offer tulsi to Krishna, he's very pleased. So he was doing that, and you can imagine the devotion. He's God. He's offering with great devotion water and tulsi to Krishna, begging him to come. And it's described that he called out so loudly for Krishna to come that the sound penetrated the coverings of the universe and went to Vaikuntha. So that's God. You know, sometimes people claim to be God. Oh, okay. Let's see how loud you can chant. Yeah. And there was no sound system. You just imagine that's a loud voice. So Krishna heard it, and he came down as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And it's described that when he appeared, that demigods were coming in human form and offering prayers to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And yes, of course, so many people were coming to get the darshan of the Lord. And he appeared, of course, most beautiful, golden avatar, Gauranga. So when he was growing up, he would cry, and he would cry, and he would cry. He was crying a lot. And finally, one of the ladies said, "Hurry, please, stop crying." And as soon as she heard those words, "Hurry," he stopped crying. And whenever he would cry, the lady would say, "Hurry," he would stop crying. So his name became Gaura Hari. That's how that name came. Gaura Hari, because he would stop crying when he would hear this Hari Hari. So he, of course, very attractive pastimes of Krishna when he was growing up. The parents of Lord Chaitanya, they would hear tinkling bells, in the room. And they go, where's that coming from? And then they would see on the ground, they would see on the footprints, the different prints of, or different symbols of Vishnu. Where is this? Very mysterious. So he, as he got older, he would have friends, and they would go and they would play. And it's described in the Chaitanya Bhagavat that they would regularly go to the Ganges. That was a big hangout for a lot of people, the Brahmins and the saintly people and the kids and everybody. So he would go there and play, and he would swim, and it's described that he would go into the water, and he would come up and he would splash people in general with his feet. He would kick his feet up and splash people. Imagine what mercy, getting splashed by water coming from Lord Chaitanya's feet. So he was very, very merciful. So in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, there's a nice description of, just like when Krishna was here, when he was here, he would sometimes be a little naughty. Yeah? It's like Prabhupada was in, I think it was in India, and there was some devotees there in the room, and there was one elderly Indian lady there, and she said to Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Krishna, he was naughty, very naughty. Prabhupada said, yes, he can be naughty. So Lord Chaitanya, he was also naughty. So I'm going to read here from the Chaitanya Bhagavat some of Lord Chaitanya's naughty activities. So he was going to school with the other children, and at noon, after their studies, the Lord and his friends joyfully went to bathe in the Ganges. Vishnubar and his friends eagerly entered the Ganges, wherein they enjoyed splashing water on each other. Who can describe the opulence of Navadvip? Innumerable people took bath at one of the bathing ghats. I am unable to say how many saints, ascetics, householders, sannyasis, and children came there to take bath. As the Lord swam in the Ganges with his associates, sometimes he would dive below the surface and sometimes he would float. In this way he enjoyed various water pastimes. While engaged in water sports, Lord Gaurasundar would splash water with his feet on those nearby. People forbade him from doing this, but the Lord ignored them, and they were unable to catch him. The Lord compelled everyone to bathe again and again by touching them or spitting on them. Being unable to restrain him, the Brahmanas approached his father to complain about him. The Brahmanas said to Jagannath Mishra, "Dear friend, please hear about your son's misdeeds. Due to his misdeeds, we are unable to bathe properly." Someone said, "He splashes water on me and disturbs my meditation." Another complained, "Your son asked me, 'Who are you meditating on?' In Kali Yuga, I am directly Lord Narayan." Someone said, "He stole my Sivalinga." And someone else said, "He ran away with my chakra, with my chudder." Someone said, "I kept the ingredients for worshipping Vishnu, flowers, and torva grass, boga, sandalwood pulp, and the Lord's asana on the bank of the Ganges. When I went to take bath, your son sat on the Lord's asana, ate the boga, smeared himself with all the sandalwood pulp, decorated himself with the flowers, and ran off. He was a little naughty. Then he said, "Why are you unhappy? He for whom you arranged those ingredients has himself enjoyed them." So this is Lord Chaitanya's statement to the Brahmana. Someone said, "I was standing in the water chanting my Gayatri, and he grabbed my feet and pulled me down under the water." Another said, "He always takes my flower basket and fresh cloth." Someone else said, "He steals my Bhagavad Gita." Then someone complained, "My son is very young, and your son makes him cry by putting water in his ears." Another person said, "He comes behind me, climbs on my shoulders, and then jumps in the water, exclaiming, 'I am Mahesh.'" Mahesh is Shiva. Someone said, "Your son sits on my asana and eats the offerings I have prepared for Lord Vishnu. Then he worships Lord Vishnu. When I come out from my bath, he throws sand on me. He is surrounded by all the other mischievous boys. He exchanges the men's cloth with the women's cloth, and then everyone is embarrassed when they go to get their clothes. O Jagannath Misra, you and your dear friend, O Jagannath Misra, you are our dear friend. Therefore, we are informing you that your son does such things every day. He remains in the water for up to 6 hours. So how will his body remain fit? At the same time, all the neighborhood girls approached Mother Sachi in an angry mood. They all complained to Sachi, "O Takarani, listen to what your son has done. He steals our clothes and speaks very badly. If we protest, he throws water on us and starts a quarrel. By force, he scatters whatever fruits and flowers we bring for puja. When we come out from our bath, he throws sand on us. He is surrounded by all sorts of mischievous boys. He sneaks up behind us and shouts in our ears." One of the girls said, "He spit water in my face. And then he threw okada seeds, which induce itching, in my hair." Someone else said, "He said he wants to marry me. Every day he behaves with us like this. Does your Nimai think he is the son of a king?" The activities of your son, Nimai, exactly resemble what we have heard about in the activities of Nanda. When we tell our parents about your son's mischief, they will surely quarrel with you. Therefore, please, control your son immediately, for such activities are not proper in Nadia. On hearing these complaints, the Lord's mother smiled, embraced the girls, and sweetly spoke to them. She said, "When Nimai returns today, I will tie him up and beat him with a stick so that he won't disturb you again." All the girls then took the dust from Sachi's feet on their heads and went to take bath. In spite of Nimai's mischief, everyone ultimately felt fully satisfied. People came to complain to Jagannath Misra for amusement, but he became upset and angrily replied, "This boy behaves like this every day. He doesn't allow anyone to peacefully take bath in the Ganges. I'm going to punish him right now." Jagannath Misra said. Although they all tried to pacify Jagannath Misra, they were unable. Gauranga, the Lord of all living entities, could understand that Jagannath Misra was searching for him in an angry mood. Sri Gaurasundar was most enchanting as he continued sporting in the water of the Ganges with the other boys. All the girls said, "Listen, Vishwambar, your father is coming. You better get out of here." You see, first they complained that he was causing all this trouble. Then when they found out that Jagannath Mishra was going to come and punish him, they told him, hey, you better run. You get out of here. You're going to get punished. So ultimately, they liked all of his mischievous activities. As Jagannath Mishra came on his way to find the Lord amongst his friends, the Brahmana girls ran away in fear. Meanwhile, Nimai instructed his friends to tell his father, quote, your son has not come here to bathe today. He went straight home after school. We are also waiting for him. After instructing his friends, the Lord went home by another path, just as Jagannath Mishra arrived at the bathing ghat. Jagannath Mishra looked all over, but could not see his son amongst the boys. He then inquired, where did Vismar go? The boys replied, he didn't come to bathe today. He went straight home after school. We are all waiting for him. Searching all over with a stick in his hand, Jagannath Mishra grumbled in anger on being unable to find his son. The Brahmanas who had earlier complained to Jagannath Mishra in jest came and spoke to him again. Vishambhar left for home out of fear. You please go home and speak to him there. If he comes back here again and creates mischief, then we will catch him and hand him over to you. Whatever we said to you was simply in jest. Actually, there is no one more fortunate than you in all the three worlds. How can one be affected by hunger, thirst, or lamentation if he has such a son at home? You are certainly most fortunate to have the Supreme Lord as your son and serve his lotus feet. Even if Vishambhar commits millions of offenses, we will still keep him in our hearts. Because these Brahmanas had all been devotees of Krishna for many lifetimes, they had fine intelligence. In this way, the Lord enjoyed various pastimes with his eternal servants, which ordinary people cannot understand. So Lord Chaitanya had many amazing pastimes. He was known as Nimai Pandit because, first, one reason was because he was born under a neem tree. And the Pandit is there because he was such a scholar, such a great scholar. Whatever he would hear, he would remember it. And eventually he had many students. Although he was young, he was just 16, he had many students. So there's one instance where he was on the bank of the Ganges with his students, and one person came there, is known as Vijaya, and he was a great scholar. He would go all over India and he would defeat everybody. So Lord Chaitanya, he recognized him, Nimai Pandit recognized him, said, oh, you're a great scholar, you're very famous. Please, can you quote some, can you compose some verses in praise of Mother Ganges, because Mother Ganges was right there. So he said, okay. So 100 verses just off the top of his head, beautiful verses glorifying Mother Ganges. So Nimai Pandit said, oh, very nice, but can you explain the faults and the positive parts of this one verse? I think it was 64. I think it was 64. So this scholar was shocked. How could you pick out one verse out of the 100 verses? It's described that he chanted them like the wind. He memorized, yeah. And Nimai Pandit said, well, some people are able to quote very nice verses composed just off the top of your head, and some are Shrutidars. I'm a Shrutidar. So I caught that one verse. Now can you explain the faults and the positive parts of this verse? He said, there's no faults. He said, there's no faults in this verse. It's perfectly composed. And then Lord Chaitanya, he went on to explain the many faults in this one verse that he had memorized. So he was a scholar. Vijaya, he was a scholar, so he could see it. Actually he's correct. And he was dumbfounded. He had never had such an experience. And Nimai Pandit, he was known to be just a scholar of grammar. He wasn't known to be a big scholar. He was just a scholar of grammar, which is just the beginning of scholarship. So Lord Chaitanya's friends started laughing at the scholar, the Digvijaya, and Lord Chaitanya stopped them to keep his dignity. No, don't laugh, don't laugh.
You may be tired from traveling so far.
Yeah.
So many excuses.
So then Lord Chaitanya said, "You compose these verses so nicely, and we've had nice talking. Come tomorrow, and we'll have more discussion, and we could have more exchange." So he was just completely bewildered. He couldn't even talk because he had been humiliated. So that night, Saraswati came to him. Goddess Saraswati, she's the goddess of learning. And she said, "That person who defeated you today is not an ordinary person. He's the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. So tomorrow you should go there and you should surrender to him." So he did. The next day he went and he paid dandavats to Lord Chaitanya, and he became a great devotee of Lord Chaitanya. So God is the most erudite scholar, even in his youth. So he had many students, and he was teaching them, and sometimes he would come across devotees, Vaishnavas, and he would debate with them, and he would always win. And sometimes when he would be walking and the Vaishnavas would be coming towards him, they would run away, because he was so much into logic, and he was very intelligent, so they couldn't refute him. So they would try to stay away from him. And one of the devotees, Mukunda said to the other devotees, if this Nimai Pandit ever became a devotee, I would never leave his side, because he's actually very attractive. He's beautiful, golden avatar, and very attractive. So he said like that. So Lord Chaitanya, after some time, he went to Gaya. His father had passed away. So he went to Gaya to offer oblations to his forefathers. And there he met his spiritual master. Who was his spiritual master? Ishvarapuri. So he was cooking at his residence, and just then Ishvarapuri came. He said, "Oh, it's so nice that you have come. Please, let me offer some prasad to you." And he said, "But that's for you." "No, that's okay. I'll cook again." So Lord Chaitanya, he served out prasad to Ishvarapuri. And Lord Chaitanya was ecstatic, because Ishvarapuri was a very, very exalted devotee, very advanced. When he went to Navadvip and he saw Advaitacharya, Advaitacharya can immediately understand this person is a great, great saintly person. And just by seeing him, of course, Advaitacharya is God also, so he's omniscient. So Ishvarapuri was an extremely exalted devotee. He was so exalted that Lord Chaitanya, he took initiation from him there in Gaya. And from that time, now previously he had the scholarly mood. He was a pandit, and he would teach his scholarship. But upon being initiated by Ishvarapuri, his devotional sentiments came out in a very big way. He became ecstatic. He would hear the name of Krishna, and he would go into ecstasy. He would roll on the ground, and his body would be shivering. He'd become so ecstatic upon hearing the name of Krishna. So he was there with the students. So he told the students, go back to Navadvip. I'm going to go to Mathura. I want to go to the land of Krishna. So then he heard an unembodied voice. This is not the time for you to go to Mathura. Go back to Navadvip. So, okay. So he went back to Navadvip. And there he met the devotees. And his devotional sentiments came out in front of the devotees. And they became ecstatic that Nibai Pandit has become a devotee. And he came to play the role of a devotee. So he, just like when there's new bhaktas, the new bhaktas, they do things for other devotees, wash their clothes and do menial things. So Lord Chaitanya was doing that. He was doing menial service for the devotees because he was a bhakta. He was just coming to Krishna consciousness externally from the scholarly life. So he became so happy in the association of devotees, and he just wanted to hear the glories of Krishna. And the devotees, when all the devotees heard that the great scholar Nimai Pandit had become a devotee, everybody was in ecstasy. And they would go to Srivas Thakur's home and they would hear the glories of Krishna. And this is also where the kirtan began, nocturnal kirtan. They would have these kirtans all night long. And devotees were so ecstatic. You can't imagine. I mean, just like we have nice kirtans here. Yeah? But imagine God is in the kirtan, and he's leading the kirtan, and he's dancing. Imagine this unimaginable ecstasy that they were feeling. And other people were hearing about this also, but they couldn't get in. They couldn't get in. And there was one lady, she wanted to experience the kirtan, elderly lady, so she hid herself in the house before the kirtan began. And then during the kirtan, Lord Chaitanya said, I'm not feeling ecstasy. Why? What's the reason? Is someone here that should not be here? And Srivas Thakur said, no, it's just your intimate devotees here. And Lord Chaitanya said, search. And then he searched around and he found this elderly lady hiding. And then he told her, yeah, I'm sorry, but yeah, you have to go. Yeah. But she got the mercies. She got to experience some of the kirtan of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So they were doing this kirtan, evening kirtan, and some of the people there in the neighborhood, they complained because at that time it was a Muslim government and they were very much restrained. The Hindus couldn't go out and do whatever they wanted. They couldn't have loud kirtans in their homes even. Yeah. So they said this Srivas Thakur, he's going to cause so much havoc, and the government's going to come, and they're going to take his house and they're just going to throw it into the Ganges. And Srivas Thakur, he heard about this. And Lord Chaitanya, he told us to Lord Chaitanya that we're getting there was some anxiety that the government's going to get upset and they're going to throw our house down the Ganges. So Lord Chaitanya said, the king, he can't do anything without my allowing him to do so. He said, I'm going to show you some of my abilities. And his little niece was there, Narayani. So he said, Narayani, chant the holy names of Krishna in ecstasy. As soon as he said those words, she went into complete ecstasy, rolling on the ground, chanting, tears coming from her eyes, her body is shivering. It's just complete ecstasy. And then Lord Chaitanya said to Srivas Thakur, now do you understand? She was experienced. She was like a 5-year-old girl or something, a 4-year-old girl. So she just went into complete bhav, complete ecstasy. So don't worry, Srivas Thakur. Everything is okay. So after doing this for some time, these nocturnal pastimes, kirtan, then they got a little more bold. So they decided to have kirtan outside. So they were going around having kirtan. And this was not allowed in that present government. So the Qazi, he came to hear about it. So he went and he broke the mridanga. Big mistake. So when he broke the mridanga, the devotees, when they told Lord Chaitanya that the Qazi came and he broke the mridanga, he stopped us and he said, if you do this anymore, I'm going to take you to prison. We're going to be punished. So Lord Chaitanya said, all right, then go around now, tell everybody to gather. We're going to have big Harinam. And everybody come with torches, lit torches. So Prabhupada was speaking about this and he said thousands and thousands of people gathered. He had such influence. Yeah. So thousands of people gathered in protests, and they were all chanting the name of Krishna very loudly. And they were going towards the Qazi's house. So the Qazi and other Muslim leaders, they heard about this. And the Qazi said, go see what's happening. So when they went out there, their beards burnt. Their beards burnt, And they were like, oh my God, this is, what is this? So then they were in big anxiety. So they went back and they told the Qazi, Qazi, there's thousands of people out there complaining. And our beards, they went up in flames. So, I don't know what you're going to do. So then he became fearful as well. So then all these people, thousands of people came to his home. And they were destroying all this, had nice gardens there, and they were destroying all the gardens. And Lord Chaitanya said, burn his house down. And some of the devotees said, well, Lord Chaitanya, maybe we should just take it a little easier on him. Oh, okay. This is all in the Chaitanya Bhagavat. So then, actually in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it said that he invited, or he told the devotees to invite him down, let's talk. So they had a discussion with Lord Chaitanya and the Qazi. And Lord Chaitanya, he asked the Qazi, why? Why are you killing your mother? The cow is your mother giving you milk, so why? Why are you doing that? And the Qazi, he was a little bit educated. He said, well, you also have sacrifices where you kill the cow. He said, actually, no, the cow is never killed, but other animals. And those are sacrificed, and they get another better form of life. So this is just to test the mantras. So then Lord Chaitanya, he asked him, why didn't you come down immediately when we asked you to come down? He said, well, last night I had an unusual experience. One fierce creature came. I'd never seen such a creature before. He jumped on my chest, and it was like, he looked like a lion, and he scratched my chest, and he said, if you ever do this again, I'm going to kill you. I'll spare your life now, but if you ever do this again, you ever harass the Sankirtan devotees again, I'll take your life. So he was completely scared to death, you can imagine. And then he showed. Yeah, he showed his chest. There's the marks. And Lord Chaitanya, the devotees were like, "Oh, okay, we're getting protected here. You know, we have someone, you know, watching our back." So, from that time on, the Qazi said, "From now on, all my descendants, they will never disturb the Sankirtan movement." And Jayapataka Swami said, to this day, the descendants of the Qazi, they're very favorable to the devotees. So I took some notes here of the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Lord Chaitanya, he would go around Navadvip, and there was one personality named Kulavechar Sridhar, and this person was an extremely advanced devotee, but he lived very simply. He lived off of selling banana leaf cups. This is how he's, you know, and this is Navadvip, you know, there's banana leaf cups everywhere. And he would, not a big industry. So, and he would, with half of whatever he would make, you know, sell, he would use it in worship of Mother Ganges. So he wasn't making much, but half of whatever he would make, he would use it in worshiping Mother Ganges. So Lord Chaitanya, he would go there and he would bargain with Kulavechar Sridhar. He said, "Kulavechar, I know you're a very wealthy man. You appear like you're some poverty-stricken, but I know you're making so much money, you know. So you should just give me these cups. You don't charge me." He said, "No, I'm a poor Brahmana. I don't have anything." And he would bargain with him. "Then at least give me half. You know, half price. Whatever you're charging, give me half." And then Lord Chaitanya, he would grab them, and Kulavechar, he would grab them. They would be tug of war with the banana leaf cups. Yeah. So this would go on. It's described that this would go on for something like 2 hours. They would be bargaining, and you know, amazing pastime. So then there was something called the Swayam Prakash. This is 21 hours where Lord Chaitanya, he exhibited his pastime of showing his supreme personality. So he was sitting on this asana, and it's described that he manifests many of the Vishnu forms right there before all the devotees, and they were just astonished. Yeah. And he was giving benedictions to the devotees, and one of them was Kulavechar Sridhar. So now Kulavechar, seeing that actually that Nimai Pandit, who I was thinking was just a mischievous boy, is the Supreme Lord. So he was astounded. So Lord Chaitanya said, "You see, I told you I was the father of Mother Ganges. You didn't believe me. Yeah? Now take any benediction you want. I'll give you anything you want." So Kulavechar Sridhar said, "My Lord, I just want that you come every day and you harass me as you've been doing. Please, give me that benediction. I don't want anything else." And Lord Chaitanya could give him anything. He could give him a planet. You know, like was that Vamanadev? He got a planet, or he gave a planet to Bali Maharaj. He could have anything. But all he wanted was that Lord Chaitanya come, and he performed that pastime of bargaining with him. So Lord Chaitanya, he was explaining how he had helped devotees in the past. There was one devotee who was running from the Muslims with his family. They were going to come and they were going to harass him in some way. So they were running. And then they got to the river Ganges, and there was no boat. And the Muslims were coming. And he didn't know what to do. He was crying out to Krishna for help. And then a boatman came and took him across. So Lord Chaitanya called that devotee. Do you remember that? Do you remember when the Muslims were chasing you and you were there on the bank of the river and you didn't know what to do and you were calling out? And the boatman came? That was me. That was me. I came to save you and your family. And Haridas Thakur, he was being beaten in 22 marketplaces because he was chanting Hare Krishna. It was a Muslim member, it was a Muslim government, and he was Muslim, but he was chanting Hare Krishna, and they couldn't handle that. Yeah. So they took him to the. It wasn't the Qazi. The Qazi wasn't the main person. I forgot his name. But anyway, they said, "What should we do with this Haridas?" Well, let's cane him. 22 marketplaces. So they're beating him. But what is Haridas Thakur doing? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Through all 22 marketplaces, he's just chanting happily. Now, generally, people would last maybe 4 or 5 marketplaces because these are 2 guys, and they're, tough guys, and they're beating him. Not a scratch on him. And then when they got to the end, they were lamenting. These 2 guys that were beating Haridas, they were lamenting. And Haridas said, "What's wrong? Why are you lamenting?" "Well, we were ordered to come here and kill you. We didn't kill you, so now we're going to be punished." And Haridas said, "Oh, you want me to die? Okay, no problem." So he died. He went into complete samadhi, no sign of life, no breath, nothing. So then they thought, "Oh, this is great. He's dead." That's great. So they took him to the magistrate or whatever it was, the main leader there, and said, "Here, we've killed him. Now, what do you want to do?" And one suggested, "Well, let's bury him." Nah, he doesn't deserve to be buried. He's just a fallen Muslim, Just throw him in the Ganges. So they threw him in the Ganges, and as soon as he touched the water, he started chanting, "Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare." And then he went swimming to shore, and they continued kirtan. And then they caught him again. And then they took him to the leader there, and they said, "Well, you were dead. How is it you're alive?" "Well, how is this?" "Oh, this is the mercy of Krishna." He said, "Anyway, from now on, you just do as you like." They just let him continue on, chanting Hare Krishna. So that was the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. So Lord Chaitanya said to Haridas, "You were being beaten. So I took on all those beatings." And then he showed his back. And on Lord Chaitanya's back were the marks from being beaten by these Muslims. So Haridas Thakur saw that and he fainted. Because he'd never felt any pain. There was no pain. He was being beaten, but there was no pain. Lord Chaitanya was accepting all the beatings. Because Haridas Thakur was so dear to Lord Chaitanya. It's described that when Haridas Thakur left his body, Lord Chaitanya was glorifying Haridas Thakur as if he had 5 mouths. He was just glorifying the qualities of Haridas Thakur. So dear to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And there was a devotee, Mukunda, who was very dear to Lord Chaitanya, but he didn't call Mukunda. He was calling all these devotees. All these devotees were coming. But Mukunda had not been called. So the devotee said, "Lord Chaitanya, you've called so many devotees, but you haven't called Mukunda." And he's wondering, "Are you going to call?" He said, "No, I'm not going to call Mukunda." "But why, my lord? He's your dear devotee." Because sometimes he comes and he praises me, and then he goes and he hits me on the head. Because sometimes he's with the devotees, hearing the glories of Krishna, and sometimes he's in praise of Brahman, Mayavad. So sometimes he praises me, sometimes he hits me on the head. No form. No, I will not show mercy to him. So when they told Mukunda, "We're sorry, Mukunda, he's not going to call you." And then Mukunda asked, "Well, will I ever get darshan of Lord Chaitanya again?" So they went to Lord Chaitanya and said, "Mukunda is asking, will they ever get your darshan again?" And Lord Chaitanya said, "In 1,000,000 births, he'll see me again." So then the devotees were very downtrodden. They went and they told Mukunda, he said, "In 1,000,000 births, you'll get his darshan again." And then Mukunda became ecstatic. And he started dancing. I'll see him again, I'll see him again." He was ecstatic because he was thinking he wasn't going to get his darshan again. I'll see him again, I'll see him again. He was just ecstatic. And the devotees, when they said, "Lord Chaitanya, we told him that you're not going to see him again for 1,000,000 births." But he became ecstatic, he's dancing. "I'll see him again, I'll see him again." And Lord Chaitanya was astounded with his patience. So Lord Chaitanya told the devotees, "Tell him to come now. Just tell him to come now. It's okay." Because he was amazed. So when they told Mukunda, you could come now, you can go and you could see Lord Chaitanya now. But he is in such ecstasy, he's just saying, "I'll see him again, I'll see him." He couldn't hear them. And they finally had to grab him. "Mukunda, you could go now. You could see Lord Chaitanya now. Come." He said, I can see him now? I can see him now? Yes. And then he went and he paid dandavats to Lord Chaitanya and he got the darshan. So Lord Chaitanya didn't like it when devotees would give any preference to Mayavad. It's like there's a pastime of Advaitacharya. Advaitacharya, excuse me, he always wanted to be known as a servant of Lord Chaitanya. But Lord Chaitanya would always worship Advaitacharya because he was much older. And he was the senior. He was the senior person in the Navadvip area. So he would always give great respect to Advaitacharya. But Advaitacharya didn't like this. So he came up with a plan to express excuse me, the Mayavad philosophies. He was teaching Mayavad. So Lord Chaitanya got to hear about this. So he went to Advaitacharya and said, excuse me, "What is supreme? Worship of Lord Krishna or impersonal Brahman?" And Advaitacharya said, "Of course, everyone knows impersonal Brahman is much greater. This is all sentimental, all this worship of Krishna." So immediately, Lord Chaitanya started beating him. And Lord Chaitanya is big. And Advaitacharya, he's old. So he's beating him. And Advaitacharya's wife comes and said, "Don't beat him, Lord Chaitanya. He's an old man. You're going to hurt him. Please don't spare him. Don't beat him." But Advaitacharya was in ecstasy because he got chastised. He wanted to get chastised by Lord Chaitanya. So he did. I wanted to read something that's really amazing. Let me see if I can find it real quick here. 8:28. We don't have much time. Let me see if I can find it. It's pretty amazing. This is one of the most amazing pastimes I've ever heard of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Nityananda. Okay, it's 8:28. Are you ready? Oh, it's Madhya. Eeks. May not have time.
Well, it's 8:28.
Oh, don't tell me that.
No, I thought you were talking about the time. You said it's 8:28.
No, but no.
Yeah, like I
It's
was mentioning to you that the current
oh, yeah, no, okay. It's also 28 after about, right?
8:28 in the book and 8:28.
I'm not going to have time. Oh, well. Maybe they're not ready. No, I'm not gonna.
You can start reading and just leave it at the thing.
I'm getting.
We can figure out another time to do it.
Oh, it's taking. I'm trying to get there. It's hard to. Taking a little time to get there.
You know the exact reference?
I know exactly where it is, but I got to get there. Oh, it's a long chapter too.
What is it called?
Let's see.
They're ready.
They're ready. All right. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai.